Hey guys, welcome to my first YouTube video here today. I just want to make this video since this spring season currently in English is ending and we're getting close to the second half of the month, so a lot of people are going to be speculating and thinking about what decks they want to build when set 4 releases on the 1st of June. So I kind of just want to look at the 3 main decks that got released with set 4 and go over maybe each deck list, go through some of the cards and let you guys know what some alternatives are and how to obtain some of these cards, and what cards from previous sets that you need. And let's get into it. So these deck lists are all from gamewith.com. You guys can find these online just by searching up gamewith Vanguard 0, and they have a bunch of deck lists. It's in Japanese though, so you'll have to translate the website. It's still a great resource, and let's get into it. So the first deck you guys can see, I have Shadow Paladins. This deck is the most expensive to build out of the three clan, the new clan and the two other clans that can support. As you can see, there is a lot of triple rares, a lot of double rares, and they're all from the gacha. None of these are obtainable in other ways other than the Blaster Dark, which we already have one from completing the story, and you should be able to get another one by doing the character fights for Ren when those are released. If you 3-star the first 3, you should be able to get another Blaster Dark with those materials. So this deck, if you do get lucky and you pull all the pieces, you can grind out the materials and then hopefully have a little bit of a meta deck for quite a while. It stays tier 2 until set 6 in Japan, still tier 2 right now currently. Actually, there is another card that is obtainable in other ways. Phantom Blaster Dragon right here. He gets put into the V Metal shop for 200 V Metals. So that's another way to get him. Other than that, the main is going to cost a lot of materials. PBD, PBO, like all those cards are triple rares. Dark Dictator right here, this is a budget variant of the deck that you can run. And it's not bad. It's definitely runnable, but it's not as meta as, of course the full deck would be. This, for budget players and F2P players, unless you really want to play Shadows, I'd suggest that you stay away from this deck if you're trying to pull from the whole banner. But if you're really interested in Shadows, wait for the raid up and then pull, because it'll give you a higher chance for all these triple rares because you need a lot of them to play the deck. So moving on, we have the end. So currently the ranked reward is Dragonic Overlord, which makes this deck a little bit more attainable for free-to-play players. If you grinded out your legend ranks, you should have 4. If you got to legend 50, or if you had 1 or 2 from before, just legend 10, legend 20. For the ends are your heavy cost unit. You really want 4 in this deck. You really need 4 for the Persona Blast, and it just gives you so much more ability with your play to just restand and hit again, which is what the deck focuses around, is the end, going for multi attacks and ending the game that way. Cards like Blockade, playing 4 Blockade really isn't necessary. I've seen not budget decks, but variants that play 1 or 2 Blockades, and then you fill the rest of assaults with dual axes and like a waterfall if you have that. Looking at the grade 2s, Fortages, that's a very budget friendly card. They have 3 Bellicosses, you can play with 2, and then right here the Stricken, he comes out in set 4 as well. If you don't pull too many, don't be too worried. You can play this deck with Nahalem. Same thing with these Burning Horns. If you pull them, he's a great card to have because he becomes a 12k attacker. But if you don't pull them, you can still run Nahalem. You can run Berserk Dragon, which I do really recommend that you do run Berserk somewhere in your grade 2s, because it makes the deck that much better in the late game. You can play Berserk and use his ability and pop something, and it just makes the game a lot easier. In terms of grade 1s, it's very budget. Gojo, everyone should have 4 copies if you pull it at all on the gacha. If not, it's very easy to craft. Bar, also very easy to craft. Airmo, commons, that's fine. And then the 4 PGs, of course, everyone should have. If you use your Sentinel Metals rate, you should be able to get 4. So overall, it's doable. Other than the really cost-heavy grade 2s, if you really want to run like an optimal deck with all these double rares, if you don't pull them, you can still run the Harlem. It's the cost heavy is right here, the 4 DNs. If you don't pull 4, it's really not optimal. It's really not recommended that you actually play the deck, because just getting that Persona Blast is so important, and if you only have like 2 or 3 in deck, there's a noticeable difference than having 4 copies that you can hit at any point. Moving on to probably the best deck for budget players. It's very budget friendly. MLB, and this deck is still tier 1 currently in Japan. Like it's been tier 1. It's the only deck in tier 1 on GameWhat's website in their ranking. So the main cost of this unit comes in the grade 3s again, but it is not MLB. You can play this deck with 1 or 2 MLBs because Wingle Brave's skill. Wingle Brave lets you counterblast 1 to search your deck for any blaster. And you have 3 blasters in the deck. You have Blaster Blade, Blaster Dark, and MLB. You want to use Wingle Brave to search for MLB because those other 2 blasters have other cards that can search them out. There is no other card that can directly get you an MLB to hand. So what that allows you to do is just search with your Wingle Brave, search for your one MLB copy if you only have 1. That's doable. You can just search for that and you have it in hand, and you only have to ride him once. There's no Persona Blast with him. There is no you don't have to ride more than once, so you'll be okay. Other than that, yeah, you can play with 1, play with 2, 3 is very good, and then 4 is optimal. If you have 4, of course play the 4. It'll just increase your chances of drawing into it. The cost that really comes in heavy is the 4 GAN slots. If you do not have 4 GAN slots, who was in the set 1 gacha, if you don't have 4, this deck really becomes tougher to play. Gansol is just such a great card because he's a recyclable heal and he's a free search into Blaster Blade, that if you don't have 4, it's going to be tough, and most of your crafting materials should be spent for GAN slots rather than the MLBs. And GAN slots 100% more important to this deck in my mind to have 4 of him than having 4 MLBs. Other than that, in the grade 3 slots, you have the 2 Alfreds. I've seen people play Soul Saver, I've seen people play Garmor. It's kind of like a flex spot. And then Palamedes, of course, is very nice to have. He's a 13k attacker on this lineup, and he just gives you the firepower that you need to hit some good numbers and make some strong columns. In the grade 2s, this is probably the most budget-friendly grade 2 that you can have, like for just overall as a group. 4 Blaster Blades, we all have 4. We got just from playing the game, we got a whole play set. And then if you grinded rank at all and hit any sort of legend, if you had legend 10, I think, legend 10 or higher, you have 1 extra. I have 7 currently, so that's like way more than enough. Blaster Dark, like I explained on the shadows, you have 1 for sure in the story, and the second one you get from just 3-starring all the character fights for Ren, you can get a second one. If you pull 1 more from the gacha, you'll be good. You can play this deck with 3, 4 is really not necessary. Where you can fill up the slots is with Star Call. Star Call's ability is on place, Counterblast 2 to search out any grade 2 from your deck. So Star Call becomes your Blaster Dark searcher. So the numbers of these 2 cards kind of go hand in hand. If you have maybe 2 or 3 Blaster Darks, you don't have 4, you can play maybe 3 Star Calls if you pull those, and you'll be okay. And then the rest of your slots, you can fill out with Bedivere, who is a double rare that comes out when set 4 as well. He's a 12k attacker when you have a Blaster Vanguard, but this slot can also be filled. If you don't pull enough of him, you can fill this with 10k Vanilla Galatine. Deck will be just fine. You'll still hit some good numbers. Your main focus to pull is Star Calls and Blaster Darks from set 4. That's what you want to be looking for. In terms of grade 1s, K comes out, but he's just a regular rare. Should be able to pull at least 2 or 3 of him. Shouldn't be that difficult. Leanne is from previous set. Marion is also from previous set, and the PGs again from just the Sentinel medals. You should be able to get 4 if you don't have 4 already. So overall, my thoughts are these 3 decks are all meta. They stay tier 1. They're all tier 1 when they come in automatically, and then they stay tier 1, tier 2. Debatably, they're all still tier 1 at until set 6, currently what Japan's in. So in terms of budget friendliness, this deck MLB is the most budget friendly, and it stays the strongest according to GameWhat's tier list. The End has the best matchup against MLB because of Tejas can snipe out the back row. So if you only do have 1 MLB copy in your deck and Tejas snipes out your Wingle Brave before you can search for MLB, that's where you encounter problems running just 1 copy. But the End is a little bit more costlier because you do need the 4 copies. Hopefully you guys have been saving up materials to either craft 2 or 3 of them, so you don't have to pull all 4 from the gacha. If not, it's gonna be rough. Knowing my gacha luck, I'm not gonna be able to get 4, but maybe some of you guys will have better luck than me and get all those copies if you don't have the crafting material. So this is kind of like a mid-budget. If you want to whale out, you can definitely build this deck. If you have the materials for it, yeah, go for it. I know that I have the materials for 2, going for 3 the end. So if I can pull 1 or 2 from the gotcha, I'll be very happy. So I'll should be able to build both MLB and the end. The one deck that I'm really not looking to build is Shadows because it is so heavy on the cost. This is the like high budget deck. Like you really want to, you have to spend a lot of either pack tickets if you're saving those up, or just gems to open packs. Like, because none of us have materials for this clan yet. You can't really craft anything until their character fight comes out, and just the amount of triple rares and double rares that are in this set for this deck, especially, is it's a little it's a little out there. You have to play a lot, but safe to say that this deck is worth the money if you do want to put it in. This deck is going to stay relevant for a long time. So if you're someone that really loves Shadows and you want to invest into it, yeah, it's a great decision. It's not going to lose its strength and position on the tier list or at the top of the meta for a long, long time. So all 3 of these decks are very, very strong. And this meta that's upcoming, I'm very excited for it because this Different Fight said in one of his videos, he said that this is like the meta where everything becomes a lot more interesting, where everything's like calculated and every win and loss feels deserved. And right now I feel like with Zero there is a lot of luck involved sometimes with just pulling triggers and drawing into the right cards, but the amount of, I guess, freshness that these 3 decks bring into the meta should make ranked a little more interesting, make you think a little more when you're playing, because I know a lot of people just go onto ladder with perfect rise and just brainless and just attack and attack. It works out for them, but it's going to be very fun, and look forward to more uploads on this channel. I might be streaming, so I'll link my Twitch down the description. Other than that, thank you.